The original Mad Max by George Miller was a cultural phenomenon. Today, me and Baden go on that road and discover what makes this film so great. This is a segment from our podcast First Film that you can find on all podcasting platforms. As always, make sure to subscribe and follow us at First Film Poddy, Poddy, on all social media platforms. With that being said, let's get mad.
So, Kyle, the first thing I want to talk about with this film, okay? You're aware of the Sigma male.
Oh, God.
Correct?
Oh, God. What are you getting up
Okay,
to?
this isn't so present in this film, but it kind of is in the later ones. Now, we have Sigma males, right? We've got Patrick Bateman.
Oh, God.
We've got Jake Gyllenhaal from Nightcrawler. We've got probably Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad.
You could have used Walter White. You chose Mike Ehrmantraut.
Now, with all of that in mind, Kyle, I feel that in many ways, Max fits many of these traits. Now, why do you think it is that Mel Gibson's Mad Max has not become a Sigma male character?
Because he knows that I hate Sigma male
males.
characters, so...
I actually think that the reason is because Max is just, he's not very mad in this movie, and he's also just not very good at anything.
Well, maybe before we get into that, we should give a summary of what happened.
Right, yeah, we should probably do that.
So, Baden, what happened in this film?
Basically, Max, he's like a cop in post-apocalyptic Australia.
It's a regular Australia.
So regular Australia, and he's got a sidekick, and they end up getting mixed up with this gang led by this dude Toe Cutter.
Not a nail tech.
He looks like that Chewbacca character in Spaceballs.
Humanoid Chewbacca.
Yeah, humanoid Chewbacca.
Yeah,
he looks a lot like that guy. They end up getting on the wrong side of this biker gang, and Max's sidekick and his wife and his kids, almost forgot about them, they get all killed by this biker gang, causing him to go mildly pissed off.
A little bit perturbed.
Yeah, like, you know, I feel like he's avenging them out of obligation more than love, perhaps.
It's because he knows that the film has to progress.
Yeah, he's like, he could just go to that bar that his sidekick was at, the one where they're singing the song Licorice Ride. They're at the bar, there's the woman, they're all the bare feet, like, walking around, and this woman's singing about the Licorice Ride.
You and me side by side on the licorice ride.
Honestly, not a terrible song.
Probably the best part of the film.
Well,
So did you enjoy Mad Max, Baden?
it's weird, man, because, like, I thought I was going to. I thought this was going to maybe top the list for me. But
Yeah.
I actually found it kind of boring.
Listen, there were some really cool stunt segments, but other than that, it seemed like a lot of filler, a lot of kind of weird acting choices. When the film shines, I think it really does shine, but when it
For sure.
doesn't, it's hard to get through.
Yeah, it's definitely been skewed by the fact that some of the sequels are just like so good. Especially now that we have also like a lot of other car action based movies. But I really just think it could be fixed by trimming it down a little bit. And I think the problem for me is, and I'm not just talking about Max here, but I just didn't like any of the characters really.
Goose was my favorite character in my
I like
opinion.
Goose a lot. I think he was great.
I actually think he was maybe the best performance.
Yeah, just because he's like, he amps it up in a way that I feel is more appropriate for this like post-apocalyptic world, whereas Mel Gibson feels like he just kind of walked out of like a convenience store.
Max himself isn't very good at anything, and he isn't very bad.
It's just kind of weird because I like the opening with him. I like how he's kind of revealed through like these shots where we don't see his face completely, and then he kind of goes all out on the Knight Rider, right?
It's so funny. He comes out of this NASCAR type car, he takes off his sunglasses, looks at the explosion, and then it just cuts to the scene of a saxophone playing, and it's like, what just happened?
Yeah, and the look on his face, it isn't that badass.
Yeah.
When we don't see his face before, it's kind of cool. You know, he's got the black leather and stuff. But then, like, it does this zoom in on Mel Gibson's face, and I just can't take him seriously in that moment as, like, gritty cop on the beat, right? And maybe he's not supposed to be that.
Yeah.
But then later in the film where he sort of goes mad, right? The rampage is just mild.
And I know it was limited by its budget, and they probably maybe wanted to do more.
Yes.
But I feel like just the acting and performance could have amplified the madness almost.
I agree, because, like, I would think the car stuff is harder to do than, like, shooting people, like, talking to people.
Yeah.
And I wish there were more one-on-one interactions with Max and members of the gang as he was taking them out.
That's what I think why the film suffers a bit, is it's like, we know how to shoot cars, we have these really cool stunt stuff, but we
Yeah.
don't know how to write dialogue and these scenes with actors on actors.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
almost like the actor stuff is more filler for the cars
for the
and
car
stunt
stuff. Yeah, like he's gone mad by the end, and
Yeah.
we see his car a lot, but we don't see him. We don't even see him driving the car. The windows are tinted and stuff. We see it all from the outside.
It's very odd, and I have to wonder, is this because of Mel Gibson's performance?
Maybe.
Or is it because of the writing? Because there's some weird fucking lines and choices, dude.
Yeah.
One
yeah.
of them is when he's talking about his dad, and he's talking about he got his dad's costume inherited down from him.
Amazing that it fit.
Yeah, exactly. I guess they were just the same body type,
Yeah.
right? But he says he had special shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Brown.
Brown.
And there's just other weird stuff, like he puts this weird latex mask on his face, and he says, like, to his wife, oh, why are you grumpy?
I agree, right? Like, when he goes mad, the first thing he does is he goes and he finds that mechanic guy. And he, like, threatens him into telling him, like, where the gang is. But it's just not menacing.
Yeah, it's just more like, I have a strong argument to make, and you're gonna listen to it.
I guess I'll squish you with this bloody car. I'll have this car sitting on you, and then I'll gas it up, and then I'll take it away.
Yeah.
He's not very threatening.
And that's kind of what will lead to another supposedly mad character who's mad before Max, Toe Cutter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought his performance was really bad.
It's interesting because reading about the film and like reading about what other people are saying about it, Toe Cutter seems to be one of people's favorite parts about the film. He's definitely memorable. I'll give him that. Very memorable.
He has a lot of memorable lines, but I feel like his performance is just, nah, this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that does work, but there's not a lot of quiet moments. He's like one tone, one note the entire film, in my opinion.
I agree, right? Because he initially starts out and he seems like one of those mob bosses who's calm and controlling and he speaks softly, sort of Kingpin-esque.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
he's mild-mannered, but with Kingpin, you know, we see him smash someone's head in with a door or something, but we don't really see Toe Cutter do anything extreme. So he just kind of comes across as the democratically elected leader of a very chill motorcycle gang.
Yeah, yeah. And some of the lines are great, like when he's trying to convince Johnny to burn Goose, like...
Right.
And I thought that entire performance where Goose is in the car, he's trying to convince Johnny, that was probably the best part of the film.
Well, I think Goose sold it really well there, and it actually led to the part that was by far my favorite. The part that had the most weight to me in the whole film was when Max goes and visits Goose in the hospital.
I feel like that's the high point of the film, almost the climax, and like it never kind of reaches back up to that height.
Yeah, because what happens after that is, you know, that obviously pisses Max off, but he just kind of quits the force and goes on vacation in like this little
This little shack.
this little shack.
But so yeah, Goose is burned, he gets in his hospital, and there's this great shot designs. You can see him under this tarp, there's this blue light, and you
Yeah.
don't really see anything, but you can like imagine it in your mind how he looks, this charred corpse from this car wreck, and the fact that he's still living. You can hear the sounds of the
the
medical
breathing
equipment.
and the bag is kind of like inflating a little bit.
It was scary. It was actually
It was
sent chills
scary.
down my
His
spine.
hand looked really good as it like fell out, and also just the contrast of knowing that under there he's like a monster, but also in the blue light he looks a little bit like a baby floating in embryonic fluid.
Exactly, yeah.
It was genuinely like scary, and I felt Mel Gibson's performance there more than any other point in the film.
Yeah.
When he comes out and he says, "That's not Goose," and then it lulls.
An interesting thing to bring it back to the Toe Cutter, I saw him talking about his performance, and one of the choices he made is that he would switch up accents
Oh my
like
god.
during the course of the filming.
Okay.
And listen, with that and the screaming, I feel like that's where all his energy was directed to.
He was putting all of his effort into doing the different accents.
Exactly,
Like
like-
every scene, so he had nothing left to give for actual emotion and
Like
stuff.
he was like, this line has to be Mid-Atlantic, this next one Irish, we're gonna go
Irish.
to British.
I guess it's one of those things that maybe he just needed to try out once, and then he got it out of his system. He realized it's not gonna work, and he just never did it again. Yeah, I don't know. And his gang in general, I thought was again very unique.
Why do they follow the Toe Cutter?
Why do they?
Because it feels like a lot of them could just do better by themselves.
He seems to disagree with most of the things they do in the film, too.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Can we do this?" And he'll be like, "No, nor we can't do that."
Instead of yes and in improving, he's like no and in
no
everyone.
and do this for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there could have been something interesting there where the gang turns on him or like disobeys him in a different
My
way.
only justification is is that Knight Rider used to be their leader, and because he died, they had to go work for Toe Cutter because they were like, we got pensions, we got kids, we gotta do something, man.
Toe Cutter is the only one who had the keys to like the safe that has all of their paychecks and passports.
He was the banker.
Yeah, exactly. He was the accountant, and now they all just kind of follow him, and he's working it out as he goes along.
But to bring up another good thing about the movie is the vehicles. Let's talk about some of our favorite vehicles.
Okay,
David.
Kyle, what was your favorite? Was it the fur-lined car that they stab a bunch? Was it the motorcycle with the sidecar?
With the flames and like the little dome?
The dome sidecar, which a woman is just like sitting in.
Well, Baden, I think yours was the police cars, which were...
All the worst shades of their respective primary colors.
It's not even a lime green. It's like a reflective green with like an awful red and blue. It looks like how a NASCAR has all branding, you know, like of Shell and gas
and
stations.
the logos don't match up color scheme-wise.
Yeah, but if they just removed all the text and just kept all the logos.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there are some countries where that's the color that they put on like ambulances and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it didn't seem like a cop car to me. I did like the V8. It's just such a cool car design.
The shot of it coming out of the garage for the first time is just so cool to see.
That is something they did well, where again, like, it's almost a character in and of itself.
There's this really good scene, I think it's at the very end when Toe Cutter dies, and he goes head first into a truck on a bike.
Yeah.
And they use a mannequin, but you can see him tumbling underneath the flatbed truck. But right before he hits it, his eyes bulge
out of his head, which is very effective, because it's like we're catching him in the moment of death.
Yeah.
There are great ideas in this, and the car stuff really shines. The way they shoot the cars low, all the stuff where Goose is on his motorcycle looks really awesome as he's like sideways going around the corners and stuff.
And the stunt work is just fantastic, especially on bikes and stuff. It's absolutely great.
But yeah, so the car stuff really shines, but it's really missing a character element in it.
It just seems everyone's very bored, which is shocking due to the universe's content, the stunt work and stuff.
I wanted to see him go mad at the end, right? And I feel like that wouldn't have been restricted by budget, because the car stuff is probably more expensive than the people stuff. They could have just have him like bust into a diner where one of the bikers in and just like go to town on him. We don't even need to see all of it.
Yeah.
I just want to see him like be more physical.
Exactly.
This also happens in the second one, where Max is just terrible at hand-to-hand. Like, he's just awful. He's not a combatant at all. Like in this one where at the end where he's chasing the two of them and he gets ambushed and they like drive over his arm and stuff.
Yeah.
Once he's out of the car, he's terrible.
This is the funny thing too, and I get this is part of the appeal of the universe, but none of the police force are trained in hand-to-hand combat. They're just trained in car-to-car
Not even a little
combat.
car-to-car. Max defeats Knight Rider by just driving at him with no fear.
Yeah, that's it.
It's cool. It's not a strategy though.
I like the idea, but the police force should at least know how to throw a punch.
Well, especially like Mad Max, right?
Yeah.
I want the car to be his like vessel for vengeance.
Yeah.
In the same way that the Batmobile was in like the Batman
Exactly.
recently.
And it felt like that at some moments.
It did.
But part of the reason why that works in that medium is you see the Penguin's fear. You see how determined Bruce Wayne / Batman is in the car, and we don't get that. The Toe Cutter, he sees the new car, and he's not intimidated by it. He's just like, oh,
He's like,
okay.
what's this?
And they establish it in the world as this untouched thing. No one really has something like
it's
this.
legendary.
They should have more of a reaction.
I find it weird that they don't even seem to know who he is exactly.
Yeah.
It just feels very impersonal.
Good stuff, bad stuff.
Good stuff, bad stuff, right? Like great vehicle stuff, great stunt work, some good character moments.
Yeah.
We can do like a speed round if you have any like miscellaneous notes.
Yeah.
Max is a bad father. His baby in one of the early scenes is just like holding a gun in the background. Very bad. I thought that might come into play later, actually.
His baby just accidentally kills someone.
Bro, the baby defends the mom from the biker gang as they're coming. He just pulls out the pistol.
And his child's name is Sprago?
Is that an affectionate nickname, or is that actually his name?
That's actually his name.
Because why is Max's name so regular when everyone else has such weird names.
Everyone else is like Goose, Toe Cutter,
Like, I think the
Sprago.
boss's name, the chief policeman's name, is really weird too.
Yeah, he has like a really weird scarf around his
Oh my
neck.
gosh.
And he's like always naked.
He's an odd chap. Clearly, this world is on the verge of collapse.
If that's your police chief, then you have other things to be concerned of than the toe cutter. I'm
Are
sorry.
the police funded by taxes in this universe?
Is money even a thing?
I don't know. Because the biker gang clearly doesn't care about it. I also find it funny when they recover the Knight Rider's body in the coffin. The toe cutter goes to like the train station. First of all, the train guy is just wearing these like shorts. It's weird in this movie because obviously it's very hot in Australia sometimes.
Yeah.
But every time a bare leg is shown, I just get like the ick.
It's also weird because they pick up his body and they hand him the tiniest coffin. It's like
I was just gonna say that it's the world's smallest coffin.
it's not even the size of an infant. It's the size of like a fetus. That's how small it is.
Later in the film, Toe Cutter's sitting in the back of a pickup truck and he's just cradling it.
It's so funny.
I liked May.
Oh, the aunt. Like, there's this grandmotherly character who,
Total badass, by the way.
yeah,
Like,
super sick. She runs the farm where they're kind of retreating. And she did a great job, I thought.
I thought she was great. I think she really sold it. She had like a leg brace type of thing, which I think added a lot to the world.
And I want to talk about that in the behind the scenes, because there's actually a weird explanation.
Okay. I don't know. She felt honestly, more competent than Max. Like,
Yeah, because when his wife and his child are running away, she's like grabbing the shotgun. She forces them all into this room.
like locks them in a barn so they can have time to get away.
Yeah, and she like tries to hold them off with the shotgun while the car breaks down and
Yeah.
the wife and stuff.
While Max
runs
is like
off.
off on a wild goose chase.
Yeah, he's like in the woods, like chasing someone.
And the thing is, like, the biker gang has her son, and then May comes in, helps her get the son back, and then locks them in the barn. But if Max had gone there to do that, Max would have fucked it up. Because he's just not good at this. He would have walked up there and been like, take May
May
instead. And then they'd be like, all right. And then they crush his baby's head, and then they kill him and his wife.
This kind of leads into this mini segment, is the themes and takeaways. Because the world is not quite post-apocalyptic yet.
Yeah.
It's like on the verge. It's in between.
And I think Max represents the border, and him going mad is where it becomes the apocalyptic world. There's sort of this running theme where some of the cops are talking about, like, we need heroes, and Max is maybe the last hope for that, and he falls from grace.
And I think that's a really
dope.
cool idea.
That's
Like,
great.
it's sick,
That's actually
right?
awesome. Fantastic stuff. I'd love to see that.
Better
I
portrayed.
didn't really get it from this, though, because it didn't feel like he fell from grace that far.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
fell maybe a few feet.
He fell off a small stoop.
He slipped on a snowbank as he was leaving his house because he's an idiot and he's not good at anything.
So, Baden, how many liters of gasoline would you rate this film?
Out of
Nothing.
nothing, out of an empty tank of gasoline.
Yeah.
I would give this 4 out of 6 empty cans of gasoline.
I'll give it 3 toenails out of 5.
Oh god.
Actually, out of 6.
Out of 6? Yeah, that's pretty appropriate. It's very middling. It might be my least favorite of the ones we've watched.
Ooh, worse than Piranha.
Again, I think I'm crazy, but I kind of like Piranha.
Okay.
I was more entertained by Piranha than this, at least at certain points, but I enjoyed Piranha more, I think. All right, with that out of the way.
I'm going to tell you the story of the crazy behind the scenes on this film, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the behind the scenes are going to be more interesting than the movie.
Oh, just wait. So strap in your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen.
Strap in your seatbelts and your V8 interceptors, your fur-lined vehicles.
And let's get mad.
White on set.